Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul.
Hi everybody, it is Friday and it's 5 p.m. and so that means it's time for Lily's news. Are you guys ready? We have a lot to talk about and we have a lot to talk about. So if you are here, say hello in the chat, and you're watching Insane Games TV and I have to go in hard on all of the stupid stuff that has happened throughout this past week. or two. So let's just start. We have Russell Brand on the docket for the day. We have Unity on the docket for today. And we also have a little bit of Drew Barrymore, because I feel like we can't let it go, what she did. We shouldn't let it go so fast. So we're going to talk about that. So let's start with Russell Brand, because I have so much to say. I have like 4 pages of a Word document here, and I need to talk about Russell Brand. And so this past week, there was an episode of Dispatches, which is kind of like the like Britain's like 2020 or like 60 Minutes sort of thing. So it's like a television short documentary. So they did an extra long version of this series show, and it was called, what was it called? Russell Brand in Plain Sight. And it was about 90 minutes long, and you can't really watch it. You can do some like express VPNing and stuff like that, but it's hard to get your hands on. But I did watch it like twice, because I really wanted to get as much detail from it. It was really hard to watch once, and it was really hard to watch the second time, because there was so much that I caught the second time that made my heart broke over and over and over again. And I am not someone who has just enjoyed Russell Brand. I wasn't someone who enjoyed his content. I was never, I'm very into like British panel shows. So like the Jimmy Carrs, the Catherine Ryans, the Sean Locks, the Greg Davies, you know, the Noel Fieldings, not so much anymore. But you know, the 8 out of Cats Does Countdowns and those types of things, and like the Big Fat Quiz of the Years. And I love them so much. Hi Demi, how are you? Welcome. I love them so much, and I find them really entertaining, and you know, it's like comfort to me. It got me through college. And I'm going to talk about Sean Locke a little bit later, who was by far one of my top 5 favorite comedians of all time. And he will come up a little later, and I'll tell you all about him. But let's get into Russell Brand, because I have a lot to say, and I don't have as much time as my brain thinks I do. So let's get into it. So if you don't know Russell Brand, he was a comedian. I don't think anything he does is funny anymore. A lot of people thought he was funny at the time. But, you know, his stand-up was raunchy, misogynistic, it was racy, and it was rambunctious, too. Russell has, like, an expansive vocabulary, which that plus a kooky, disheveled look, and like this immense vocabulary full of fantastical descriptive words is like really funny, right? You know, you're silly and you're goofy and you're crazy hair, which people call my hair crazy all the time, which is fine. And so you put all those things together and you put it on stage and you're like, ha 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 ha, brilliant. So over the past 8-ish years, Russell Brand has made a massive shift in his content that he creates. And you could find him lurking in the extreme corners of the internet, right? With like, and the Andrew Tates and like the Ben Shapiros and the Candace Owens and all those types of people, who just really just want you to shut up, lick boots, and, you know, let them have control of your body. So those types of energies is where you could kind of find him, even though he was also like this, I'm a family man, healer, look at me meditate type of thing. It was very strange. It's a very weird energy that I don't quite get. And I definitely have a lot of questions, and I think he does as well, and he's not going to find the answers for those questions in that space. So, anywho, Russell Brand was charming, he was charismatic, and he was outrageous, and in what the media thought was a good way. So everything that he did was big and outrageous, and he hugged and he kissed and he squeezed and he laughed, and everything was like very personal and close with him when it was like a person to person, you know, interviews, he would touch and he would grab, and it was like, oh my gosh, he's so charismatic, and what a way with words. But it was really just him having that power in that moment and indulging himself and taking as much power as possible, which is what he was allegedly doing in his personal and private life as well. he was an addict, drugs, and they claim also sex. I sex addiction is a very weird. It's a hard concept for my brain to wrap around because I don't quite understand the sex part of the addiction. I can understand the power part. I can understand the power dynamic needing to be power. You're addicted to power and control. I personally can't. I'm not trying to put like any judgment into the world. If you are someone who is addicted to sex, then I hope you seek out help and you don't indulge that addiction non-consensually with anyone. So hi Glenn, how are you? So I can't, my brain can't wrap around it. But that's not in a way saying that it doesn't exist, but I just wanted to make that clear that I have a hard time understanding that concept, which I think is okay. And it's better for me to say I have a hard time understanding that concept than saying it don't exist, right? That's my opinion. So Channel 4 in the UK has a show called Dispatches, and they did a very long, probably like 7-8 decade, I don't know, 10, 11 year, I don't know how long it was, but it was a very long investigation into Russell Brand's actions, supported, and this show was supported by the victims' voices. And so we learned of the 16-year-old girl that was in a relationship. I use air quotes because in America, you can't be 16 and in a relationship that engulfs all aspects of a love relationship, with someone who is way older than, 18, 17, way older than 16. That's called all of the other things. That isn't a relationship. I have to go to Pizza Hut. So you can't do that. In the UK, 16 is the age of consent. In America, no. No. But still, it's gross. So this was grooming, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If a 30-something-year-old man or 20-something-year-old man is requiring in his life to have a relationship with a 16-year-old, and they tell the 16-year-old and role play with the 16-year-old to manipulate their parents to let them out of the house, to get, to stay out later than normal, and to teach the 16-year-old how to change their relationship with their family so that she can go off and be in a relationship with the adult. That's grooming. And then what you do to that 16-year-old within the walls of your apartment or your home or your basement that's rape. Because that's what it is. And I think the UK needs to really take a little look-see into the developmental stages of the brain and realize that 16 is not a good age to have it be for consent. That's my opinion. That I don't like that. I don't like that it's terrible. I don't like that that's terrible. Period. Okay, back to my thing. Okay, so she retold the instance of Brand telling her what to say to her parents to get out of the house, how the two practiced, they role played, they took on the characters of Brand's like, I'll be your parents, and make sure you say the right things because we want to get it right type of energy. And they rehearsed the conversation, and Brand would tell her to get into the bathtub. Get in, run the bath, get into the bathtub. I'm going to go. And when I come back, I want you to still be in this bathtub. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a bathtub for longer than, 10 minutes without like more hot water coming in. It's going to get really cold. And so the longer you're in there, the colder it gets. So she gets out of the bathtub and waits and like wraps up in a towel and like warms up. And she finds herself hearing Brand coming back into the house. So she gets back into the tub. Because why? Why wouldn't you get out of the tub and say, I'm not going to sit in a cold bathtub and wait for you, weirdo? Did you bring home some dinner? Like, I'm not going to do that. That's insane. I'm not going to sit in a cold bathtub, get hypothermia, because I don't know how long you're going to be. No, gross. She was groomed to fear the disappointment of Brand. So if she didn't do what he told her to do, there was fear on her end, and the punishment could be quite awful, right? So it's not an equal relationship. It's not a partnership. She was a puppet. She was being controlled. Oh, it makes me so mad. Okay, so there was many retellings of events from women, and the actions that Brand took upon them, his rapes, and how when forcing himself on them, he was angry and mad, and his eyes went black, and my heart continually broke for these women. Extremely frustrating. So in the early 2000s, Brand was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he was having, he had stand-up specials and movies, and massive A-list celebrities were side by side, on red carpets, and he was getting bigger and bigger movies with bigger and bigger actors, and he was just exploding. He was everywhere. You couldn't get away from this man. And so Brand was hosting a show, and his contract, it had written that he couldn't have sex with anyone on set. Why would that be in your contract specifically for you? If there haven't already been reports of your disgusting behavior previously on other sets, and the company, the studio that you're working with for this show in particular, is saying, we really don't want any of that, but we want you because we need your name because it's everywhere and it's very big and it's popular, and we want you, but we don't want all of the problems, so please don't do that. So the acknowledgement of the issues existing and the hope that it won't happen again, even though, of course, it will. And then for people to say, like, we didn't know anything was happening. It was in your contract. Like, for you to not do that. Like, please don't. What? Stop. Okay. So what's sticking to me is his days in radio. This was really big, actually. This was like, radio took him out for the most part. Like, the radio shenanigans were one of the first really big, like, take out at the knee events. Like, takes a while to stand back up for Russell Brand. It's a weird name, right? So he was hosting a radio show. And he had a radio show that he was removed from because he was having sex with the competition winners. It was sort of like a music competition. So he was having sex with the winners of those competitions from that radio show in the bathroom of the radio station. So Leslie Douglas, introducing Leslie Douglas, enter stage left. The station controller is believed to have been aware of this, aware of all of this, like all of it. Hi, Crystalline. How are you? Always good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, you're not late. I'm just sharing my review and thoughts and opinions on Russell Brand, and how frustrating it is. And we'll get, and I'm frustrated and I'm mad, but I want to share my thoughts and opinions, especially because not a lot of people are able to see the Dispatches episode. So that's what we're up to. How are you, Crystalline? So Leslie Douglas, the station controller, so like the head of the radio station, like she was in control, is believed to have been aware of this. So the station took him off of this radio show. And we're like, you can't continue to have sex with the winners and coworkers and stuff in the bathroom. So we're going to take you off the show. And then we're going to give you another one. Your own. We're going to give you your own show. So you don't have to, so there won't be any temptation. Gag. Oh, okay. And so I want you guys to take note. Mainstream media so far in his career has only raised this man up with more jobs, more views, more money, and more access to potential victims. They have done nothing to say, maybe we should maybe take a step back from this guy. He's got a lot of red flags. He's got a lot of baggage following him along from job to job. Maybe we should not keep giving him more things until we figure out like these rumors, these the air of something not fun happening. Maybe we should figure that out before we just give him more money and a bigger audience. But that didn't happen because mainstream media wanted the views for anything that he did, any contract he signed, anything that was there. It was big. And so the radio show was a fantastic place for him to just sit in, like really who he was. It was a stand-up stage where when you're sitting behind a computer and you're watching something and you could comment anonymously, you feel almost safe to just say really whatever you want. Good, bad, awful, creepy. You say it a lot easier than if you would like say face to face to someone. Now that doesn't go for everyone because there are creeps everywhere, and there are people who are just kind also everywhere. I am very familiar with, on my other YouTube channel, with the amount of kindness that can exist between hundreds and thousands of random humans. And it amazes me every day to see a community that's just kind and just nice. And when I can go to other things and I can do other things on the internet, and I can go to other places on the internet, and I can see just how awful and just like killer instinct some people have when they're behind a computer screen, when they're nameless, when it's just a bubble, or it's just a screen name. And so I think Russell Brand, which I'm so happy that I have the community that I do on my other channel. It's Lily's Lottery if you want to check it out. But it's so fantastic, and I'm very lucky to have that amount of kindness, because not everyone gets that. But what I wanted to compare that to is Russell Brand on radio. Yes, there was cameras as well, but I feel like instead of sitting on a TV set and you're filming and recording a radio show, you have a different vibe, and so to me it felt like he was able to loosen up even more on his radio show. And because he wasn't necessarily, it was still him, it was still his voice, and people were listening because it was him, but it wasn't necessarily him, full makeup, full lights, and in front of everyone. So it, feels a little different, not a lot different, but a little different. So I think his shell cracked a little bit more on this radio show. He even interviewed Jimmy Savile, which I thought was quite interesting. When Jimmy Savile was alive, he was knighted by the Queen. He was he was a charitable television and radio host. I don't know your age, but if you find people who are probably in their 50s and 60s, maybe even a little older, they'd be probably familiar with Jim Will Fix It, or Top of the Pops. These are UK shows, like British shows, but they still had a bit of resonance in the States. Jim Will Fix It was pretty much like a Make-A-Wish show for like kids and teens and stuff. And so he was very charitable. He was helping the community, and he looked crazy, but from what you saw on like television and stuff, he was just a good guy. But he actually was one of the most prolific rapists of all time. He committed sexual crimes with hundreds of victims, hundreds, not 100 or a couple, like hundreds, like 400 to maybe 500 victims. But lucky for him, no one believed his victims until Savile died. So then boom, he was awful. And Savile supported the NHS through his like charitable work and stuff, giving him access to children through elderly humans to assault with ease. And he had such a he was so prolifically good that anything that would say that he wasn't was immediately dismissed because you're lying, he's so good. Gag. So, anywho, I got water all over my computer. So, anywho, Brand interviewed Savile, and it quickly turned extremely sexual on the phone. Not between the two, but what Brand has available. Savile was like, well, if you got a sister, no, but he did have an attractive assistant that he was willing to offer up naked to Savile. So just lovely. Well done. Good start. Brand also started his own gates. So, like Purse Gate or Tattoo Gate, Dramageddon, those types of gates. It was Sachs Gate. So Andrew Sachs is an actor, was an actor from a very popular show in UK called Fawlty Towers, and Russell Brand called him, this older gentleman, and with Jonathan Ross, who's also a comedian. Jonathan Ross was on the show, which I slightly enjoy Jonathan Ross, and doing some more looking and digging. I don't anymore, but yeah, it makes me so bad. So Brand was leaving the iconic actor Andrew Sachs a voicemail, and Jonathan chimed in and he fucked your granddaughter or something like that. It was very much like a spurt of an announcement that Brand was in a sexual relationship with Andrew Sachs' granddaughter, who was much younger than Brand at the time. But I believe she was I think she was 19 or 20. But yeah. So this was a filmed, recorded show. It was not live. And when you see this clip, it looks as if Brand found this moment to be one of the funniest moments that he's ever experienced in his entire life. The laugh was guttural. He folded. It was one of the funniest things he's ever heard and experienced. But Andrew Sachs and the rest of Britain didn't really think that same energy, because when it aired without review, no one proofread this episode. No one, not a single person, sat through this episode. No one reviewed it whatsoever, and they just clicked send, and it went up, and Britain was like, oh no, that's not okay. So yeah, thus Saxgate was born. It was drama. It was big news. It was the tea. It was a moneymaker. It was a way to, the paparazzi were then again all over Russell Brand. It was everything. So anywho, the U.S. Sun wrote that the scandal, which became known as Saxgate, saw Brand resign from the BBC and Ross suspended from his TV show for 3 months. Jonathan Ross was the other comedian there. There was another instance of Brand talking extremely inappropriately about a host of another show. She brought it to the attention of the station, and many people who had been wronged or inappropriately spoken to or touched or anything like that were bringing it up. But Brand is so funny. He's such a good guy. He'd never do anything like that. Anyhow, so let's talk about Russell Brand right before this documentary came out. So he knew that this was coming out. He knew. People told him that he was told that this was going to happen, and so he made a video. He made a video on YouTube refuting all of the lies that will be coming out in this documentary. And he's just a promiscuous guy. He liked to get sexy time action, you know, but everything was consensual. Wake up, people is such a fun line to hear. Wake up. Do you guys want to watch it? I don't watch it. We're not going to watch it. It's like 2 minutes and don't want it. It's ugh. It's so frustrating. So right after the video came out, the Andrew Tates, I think the Joe Rogans, maybe the Ben Shapiro's, they all came to support Russell Brand. They were all like, "Hey, we know you're being wronged by the mainstream media. We're so sorry. Like, you guys." They were like, "Really? You're gonna believe those women? Those women really?" When the mainstream media is the reason Brand has all this money, has all this power, has all this influence. The mainstream media gave him that. And like, they gave it to you and they can take it away. Like I brought you into this world and I can take you out. David says, "Oh, how doesn't any of this stick to him?" I think it's a great question. I think that Russell Brand has his entire career been able to not have anything stick to him in like, it's so weird because he's just a sleazeball, but like sleazeball was in, like, it was the style, you know, like it was idolized, that the sleazeball activity. And because he made his career talking about his promiscuity, his desire for all of this like sexual action, that when there was a complaint about it, it was like, well, yeah, it's Russell Brand. What else did you like? Well, that's just the kind of guy he is. You know, he's just a silly, goofy, promiscuous man. So he had that aura around him of being, you know, the guy in the tight pants who's, you know, probably gonna show some bits, but that's assault. Like, that's assault. So it is very strange. It is very strange. After after Dispatches came out, YouTube demonetized Russell Brand, which I thought was beautiful. Which means Russell Brand can still post videos on his YouTube channel, but he just can't make money off of it. Boo-hoo. Like, you made all the movies. Chill. You're fine. So this is not the end of this, right? So the story, so Russell Brand's video, the way his fellow conservants responded and supported him immediately, and then the Dispatches, this is not the end of it. I have questions for the likes of Noel Fielding, Jonathan Ross, Jimmy Carr. I have questions for those people, because those are men who are very close to Russell Brand. Those were men who were there during his start and when he was massive. Those are humans who sat by him year after year, show after show, joke after joke, like nothing was happening. Now, did you know something was happening, or did you just, like, did you know and did you just not care, or did you not know? Were you not keen to the people who were talking, you know, when you're on stage? What are you thinking? Jimmy Carr is a very big comedian, hosts a lot of panel shows. Jonathan Ross on a lot of those panel shows. Noel Fielding is always side by side for Russell Brand in a lot of these panel shows and, you know, out on the street and interviews and stuff. Noel Fielding and Russell Brand were like two peas in a pod. I have questions, and I hope that they come out and answer them. directly to me, like call me. No, I hope they come out and talk, because I think not talking will be worse. And this energy that Russell Brand is bringing could have such a detriment on all of their careers, just because everyone's going to always really remember, like, but y'all were there the whole time too, right? Like, y'all were there also. What aren't you saying type of energy. Catherine Ryan is a Canadian comedian who has, I think she's lived for a really long time in the UK. I love Catherine Ryan. I think Catherine Ryan is such a fantastic comedian. She has her own style. She has her own energy, and I'm like bow down. Like, I'd love to just shake her hand. She was very vocal. I wouldn't say very vocal, but she was vocal at once about Brand being a sexual predator. When the two were on the show, it was like roast battle. I think it was like 2018 or something like that. And in the Daily Mail, there was a conversation. So this is from the Daily Mail. So earlier this week, Catherine told the Mail that she and her female co-star have avoided speaking out about sexual predators working in the industry over fears they will be seen as troublemakers. Wow, what a new concept. Of course that's how the energy goes. And you guys have all heard, like the stand-up comedians, the men are always looking for women to do it with, right? Like, they're always on the prowl, and like some are dangerous, and so, but when women say, yo, that man's dangerous, you're out, you're done, like, you're not. It's like a weird type of misogyny, and it goes hand in hand with like women not being funny. So like, you guys know. She also confirmed that female comics do share their stories and fears over which men are predatory, because they view that as being the best way to keep themselves safe. So they can't talk about it out loud, but they can talk about it to each other. Can this change? Like, can this be the moment where things change? And like, how about you just stop being predators? Like, how about, like, could you stop just being a predatory piece of crap? How about that? Like, maybe now's a good time to not do that anymore. Just saying. The best way to keep themselves safe is to share, have a group text, a group chat with all the women around you in that same world. Hey, this so and so and so and so and so and so are pisses me off. So Catherine said, do you think maybe that singles me out as a troublemaker? Do you think perhaps women don't come forward for this and other similar reasons? Women in my industry have these conversations and warn each other, because that's the best course of safe action for us. Because calling someone out, you either get shoved aside or you get like essentially removed from the industry because you're a narc and you're already not like that. It's so psychotic. Shouldn't predators be called out? Yeah. Yes, they should be called out. You'd think. You would think that they should be called out. But predators are predators, and it's... Catherine Ryan previously claimed to have told a comedian to his face that he was a sexual predator, and that accusations against this person were an open secret. The Canadian comic and writer told Louis Theroux that she had confronted the unnamed man while they worked together on a TV show. They're, of course, referring to Russell Brand. And Brand complains now about mainstream media attacking him, but mainstream media gave him the power to do these crimes with support, the grace to try again in a new, bigger position with more opportunity, just looking away. And it was the power dynamic. The power dynamic was the key factor in Brand's victims. He was able to place power over them in all facets: their job, physicality, grooming. He held the power. If he was assaulting a coworker, he was higher up. If when he was physically assaulting someone, he would hold them down. He's a taller guy. He would smaller women, taller guy, bigger, hold them down, push, get them up against the wall. Grooming the 16-year-old girl to be a better victim for him. Easier. He held the power. And in this instance, I don't know, this is why I don't fully comprehend the sex addiction, but I do understand the power addiction. So that's my little thing on Russell Brand. And I know that was really long, but we have to talk about, I hope you guys, I mean, I watched it twice, and there's really not much more to say. They said it all. I think they did a fantastic job representing the victims, sharing the stories, and this conversation about Russell Brand is far from over. So before we go, move on to Unity, which, oh my gosh, I am wild. Okay, before we talk about Unity, I want to talk about One Upstate, which is New York. Okay, so One Upstate is happening. I'll give you the date. October 21st at the Albany Capitol Center this year, obviously. So this expo, New York's Tech Valley, is home to a video game development cluster, which is fantastic and we love and we stan, ranging from small independent studios to internationally recognized names. And One Upstate is a new developer expo coming to the Albany Capitol Center on October 21st. And you can join us for a day of panels and speakers, networking opportunities, vendors, and of course an after party that will be all about the games. And so for this inaugural year, One Upstate will be a single day event with an after party. And the event will consist of two main areas: the main hall for exhibitors and a separate breakout room for panel discussions and speakers. And the exhibitors in the main hall will range from independent developers to larger studios from the Tech Valley region. Additionally, attendees will be able to meet and network with local creatives who also support the games industry. You guys, if you are looking for a leg up, an introduction, a continuation of your own personal education when it comes to game development, or just the industry of game development, I highly suggest you check out One Upstate. Let me let me get this in the chat for you. I just have to open YouTube real quick. Let's see. What is it? It's just oneupstate.com. Oneupstate.com. Definitely check oneupstate.com. I'm going to keep talking about it for a while, obviously until it happens. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. It's growing fast and it is almost here. So if you, I'm definitely going to be there for some of it. And I'm excited because not only recently I've been interested in like gaining knowledge, because I have none, about, like game development, but the industry, like the behind the scenes of more than just playing a game, but like the industry of game development has been really interesting to me lately. So I will definitely be there, so you guys can come meet me as well. So yeah, that's that. Okay, let's talk about, I had a bunch of videos and stuff, but I don't want to make this whole thing about Russell Brand because he can suck it. Let's talk about Unity and how Unity wanted so the other day, Unity said, it's so funny to me. Unity was like, hey, by the way, we're not making money. So Unity is a game engine that developers use to make games. And so it's like Premiere Pro for video editors. And like, so you pay to use Unity. Essentially, there's different plans, but Unity is it's not a physical thing, but it's a thing that you use when you're making a game. And Unity was like, hey, I know that we're pretty much the most popular game engine out there, so we're gonna make some more money because we're actually not profitable and we have a lot of employees, and so we're gonna need to make some money. So we're going to, starting January 1st, and this will be retroactive, we're gonna charge everyone money for installations of the games that they made and have put up on different servers, ways to download, so like Steam. So we're gonna need to get some money from you for that, because you're using Unity. Even if you've already paid for Unity, you're using it. And so we're gonna charge you, because whenever anyone installs a game, there's a bit, from Unity that they need to install as well. And so, we're gonna have to charge per install. And everyone's like, wait a minute, hold on, what? Let's retroactively. So there was a lot that happened with this first initial announcement from Unity, and it hit like a ton of bricks. It did not land well. There was no applause. Everyone was mad because Unity made it to make everyone mad. But Unity also made it and dropped the first hint at the change when Apple was dropping the new iPhone. So hoping that this kind of flew under the radar, kind of like how they made all the changes to the terms of service under the radar. But what they didn't realize was that people weren't going to just be like, oh, okay, no problem, that's fine. So Unity was making a lot of changes to how much they were going to be charging game developers per install of the game developers' games once the games were made. And so that was a really massive decision that I'm pretty sure not everyone said to, because that's crazy. And there was a lot of good analogies to it. There was a lot of like Premiere Pro. Now, I pay for Premiere Pro, and I use Premiere Pro to edit videos. And so if I uploaded a video, even though I pay for Premiere Pro, when I uploaded a video, was like, hey, every time the video gets viewed, you're going to have to give me 5 cents. That's crazy. No, because that's wild. Because I could potentially not be getting any money from the video that I edited and uploaded, but the engine wants money from me because I used it. What was his other, I forgot his name. You guys probably have seen it, but it was like, if you get a lawnmower, he said, what is his name? I always forget it. I'm terrible with people's names, like YouTube names, He's like, if I buy a lawnmower from Home Depot and I charge someone $20 to mow the lawn, do I also have to give 50 cents to Home Depot because I used the lawnmower that I bought from them? No. So there's some really great analogies to how this was going to work, and everyone went kind of crazy. And so there was this energy of Twitter. Everyone is being charged for Twitter. So it's you can use Twitter for sure, but we're gonna charge you. Okay, and if you don't want to be charged, then you like really can't use Twitter. Like, if you don't have a blue check mark on Twitter is virtually useless at this point. And then Reddit was like, hey, we're gonna charge you. And so Reddit didn't have as easy of a time as Twitter did. And so now Unity's like, hey, we're going to charge you more. But the problem with the Unity aspect of wanting to charge its users, which are businesses, large or small, on top of charging to use Unity, is that it's a business. You're charging a business. You're not charging a direct consumer of an item. So you're charging businesses. And so the way that it was going to affect people was so extreme for some. For some, it had no effect. But for some, it could have potentially had a massive effect, as in hundreds of thousands of dollars. You could owe more to Unity than more you made at all even. Like, the breakdown was absolutely bonkers. And so there was a lot of chatter online. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Unity dropped like 2 or 3 more additional like outlines to everything. And people the effect that the installation charge could have had on developers was massive, because it wasn't a charge per download or purchase, or excuse me, it wasn't a charge per purchase of a game like on Steam. It was a charge per installation. And so you could potentially get hate installers and install, you could get a bot and, make a bot and have this game installed continuously, infinitively, and each install would charge the developer money over and over and over again. So you're giving too much power to the consumer, the final consumer, after the business to business to consumer. So you were giving so much power to the consumer. And Unity wanted to say, hey, we're going to track install. So if you purchase a game and then you install it and then you uninstall it and then you install it again on that same device, you won't be charged. But there's really no way to do that. Because we asked, everyone was like, okay, so how are you going to do that? How are you going to track the installs if you can't track IP? Especially in the UK, where knowing like information about a device that doesn't belong to you is so bad. Like, it's way more bad there than it is here. Like, it's not like it's real bad. It's real bad. So it's like the illegality of it is way more extreme. So we said, like, how are you going to track all of this stuff? How are you going to track it? How are you going to track all of the installs? How are you going to do it? Because you have to tell us how many times, how many different devices, us, the developers, you have to tell us, the developers, how many times it was installed, so that we can pay you the money that you say we owe you. But you are not telling us how you're going to track all of these installs, if they were a reinstall or an install on a second device. You're not going to tell us how you're doing that. So we just have to trust you. We just have to believe you. Because if you're not telling us how, you're also not telling us how you're not doing it. So you're not giving us any information. Because if you told us, if you were like, hey, this is how we're doing it, everyone would be like, all right, well, I'm just going to install in a different way. I'm just going to go around that. So it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating. And it was, oh God, my head is like, I have watched so much about this Unity stuff. And when it comes down to it, it was a well thought out bad plan that immediately landed into someone's inbox, and it felt like they were like, okay, sure. Especially with the energy of the CEO from, what is it, EA, where he was like, hey, I want I'm gonna charge people for for bullets. Remember that? You guys remember that from a while ago? Same CEO, just now of Unity. There was already for bigger, small developers, um, bigger, small game studios, and bigger game studios. So not like really, really small ones, but like bigger, small ones, are already paying so much if they use Unity. They're already paying a good chunk of change to use Unity. And then having the install potentially originally go retroactive. So go back through all of the games that you ever uploaded or that you ever published, and have all of that affect your financial standing was insane. It was insane. And so Unity, after many rewrites, has wrote this, and I'm actually going to I'm going to pull this up here and say, so this was from Unity. This came out today, an open letter to our community. I'm Mark Witten, and I lead Unity Create, which includes the Unity engine and editor teams. I want to start with this. I am sorry, which is funny because when they first heard everyone complaining, they're like, okay, and thanks for your criticism, I guess. So I am sorry. We should have spoken with more of you, and we should have incorporated more of your feedback before announcing our new runtime fee policy. Our goal with this policy is to ensure we can continue to support you today and tomorrow and keep deeply investing in our game engine, which is crazy because it could have killed a lot of developers. It could have not affected a lot of developers as well, but it could have like really just straight blow them out of the water. So you are what makes Unity great. Duh. It's not you guys. You're not profitable. Sorry. So the Unity was previously working on about, I believe, like 500 million every quarter coming in and about 700 million going out. So they were pretty much in a deficit every quarter for the past couple of years. It really wasn't a profitable business. They also had close to like 8,000 employees. So that alone is putting Unity in a strange position to have that many employees. Just kind of wild. So they had a lot of employees. They had a lot of money going out of the business. And I think this was one of the ideas. They probably had a board meeting. It was like, guys, we need to make more money. Duh. Let's charge the people who use us more, but in a weird ass way that they're not going to even talk about. After making sneaky little changes to the terms of service and the contracts that developers have already signed with Unity, they were kind of sneaky under the table, making these changes to what your agreements with Unity, hoping that wasn't gonna come out. But we're not dumb. We're kind of dumb, but we're not like really dumb. Okay. So you are what makes Unity great, and we know we need to listen and work hard to earn your trust. We have heard your concerns, and we are making changes in the policy we announced to address them. So our Unity personal plan will remain free. Cool, good. And there will be no runtime fee for games built on, I think it's blinking. For games built on Unity Personal, we will be increasing the cap from $100,000 to $200,000, and we will remove the requirements to use the Made with Unity splash screen. So this is funny. When they bring this, it's funny that they bring this up because Made with Unity splash screen before game starts was forced on free plans. And now you have like Unreal Engine, another developer engine that you could use instead of Unity, where they had for like free or like the cheaper plans that you didn't have, like you don't put that in front of the games. Now for big development companies, big games, big like AAA games and stuff like that that are using Unreal Engine, you gotta put our splash screen on the game. So which kind of gave the appeal of Unreal as like a big developer engine to use, and Unity as a like smaller, like everyone's like Unity makes crap games because they're not the big games, because Unity for big game developers said you don't have to. No, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. So it was a really weird tactic that Unity had, but it was a fantastic tactic that Unreal Engine uses, because it just gives them the appeal of being a better engine to make games with. Because look at all these big fancy games. They got that Unreal Engine right there. And then you play a game that maybe someone has been, learning to make, and they're practicing, and you find this, free game or something like that. And it says Unity. So you're like, "Oh, it's just a different vibe. It's a different energy." I thought that was fantastic. And no game with less than $1 million in trailing 12-month revenue will be subject to the fee. Okay. All right. So for those creators on Unity Pro and Unity Enterprise, we are also making changes based on your feedback. Good. Okay, so the runtime fee policy will only apply beginning with the next LTS version of Unity, shipping in 2024 and beyond. And your games that are currently shipped in the projects you are currently working on will not be included. Cool. Unless you choose to upgrade them to the new version of Unity. So be wary if you're like, we gotta do these, we gotta do an upgrade. We have to upgrade this. Beware. Read the fine print. We'll make sure that you can stay on the terms applicable for the version of Unity editor you are using, as long as you keep using that version. And so you have to be mindful. If you are going to make a change, they can say, "But you changed." This is still a very slick. This is still very slick of them. They don't want you to be mad, but they still want that opportunity to make more. Okay? Just remember that. We'll make sure that you can stay on the terms applicable. We already read that. For games that are subject to the runtime fee, we are giving you a choice of either a 2.5 revenue share or the calculated amount based on the number of new people engaging with your game each month. Both of these numbers are self-reported from data you already have available. You will always be billed the lesser amount. Keep an eye on that. We want to continue to build the best engine for creators. We truly love this industry, and you are the reason why. Both of these numbers are self-reported from data you already have available. I'm sure they do. I'm sure the people who work at Unity really do love the community and just the making of games. But it's not them who we're mad at. And who is you? I lead Unity Create, which includes the Unity engine and editor team. So Mark, I don't know. It just felt so icky for so long. And it was such a fly swat. We were swatted away so fast when we said, this is kind of crazy. I'd like to invite you to join me for a live fireside chat. Oh, we missed it. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here are some more details. So this is what I would assume to be the final stance on the whole changing of the runtime fees,
I'd like to invite
which
you
is,
to join.
when it all happened, it was such a blur. You know, everyone was so mad and so frustrated because it wasn't like gradual, and it was so dramatic when it first hit. Because I feel like Unity thought that they were speaking to consumers of games. Like, it felt like you were telling people who were playing the games this. Like, hey guys, prices are gonna go up a little bit. You're talking to the people who are making the games. You're talking to the people who are learning how to make the games. I don't know. It was very strange. I think this is a very interesting resolution to a definite walk back from the original, which was insane. And just being able to give the consumers so much power to deliberately attack, that was really concerning. That was one of the most concerning points, is that with the very first, hey, we're making a change, it was so clear that they don't care. Like, they don't care that they don't care if developers get affected, and they don't care if the consumers do the affecting on the developers. They just want their 20 cents per installation. Wild. Absolutely wild. We were going to talk about Drew Barrymore, but we're kind of out of time. Drew Barrymore sucks. Sucked. Drew Barrymore sucked. Drew Barrymore was like, hey, I'm going to start my show again. I'm sorry we don't have any writers, but, like, there's a strike going on. And she actually filmed at least one episode. And everyone was like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do this? What are you doing? Why would you do this? Why would you scam? Why would you cross the picket line for a show? Like, ma'am, no one is, this was crazy. So Drew Barrymore really thinks, I think, or thought, hopefully her mind has changed, that her show was the saving grace to the world. That if she could put the show on through a pandemic, she can put the show on through a strike, a writers and actors strike. No, you can't. You just look dumb. You look dumb. It made you look so dumb and it was so inappropriate. And you were on the up and up. Like, the press that you had was actually pretty good. Those girls are so loud. Like, those girls were so good. Oh no. My audio is doubling. I didn't even see that. Oh no. Thank you for telling me. It's crazy that it reads sorry, David just told me my audio was doubling. It's crazy that it reads it even though I didn't. Oh, maybe I did have it. Oh, because it was. I forgot about that. Sorry, guys. Anywho, it should stop now. I don't know how any of it works. I don't know nothing. So she thought the show was a saving grace, and Drew Barrymore was doing really good in the world, in the market. Like, her views and stuff were good, were top tier. But she made this really bad decision, and it pissed a lot of people off. And then she said, you know what? I made a decision that I was going to start my show again, and that I was worried about the people who aren't on strike, like the production crew, who aren't on strike, and their paychecks. Okay, start a fund. Give them some money. Make sure that they get money to pay the rent. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You don't get to break the strike and expect no one to say anything. And so what really got to me, I also think this is happening. What really got to me was when, my chat wasn't even working. Thanks, David. My chat wasn't even working. I'm having a hard tech day. So what the worst part about it was there were 2 humans that got free tickets to go to the recording of the show. So they're like, yeah, we're going. Hell yeah. Which was fun. Great. And so when they did, they literally crossed the picket line. Were given pins, SAG, and, writers WGA pins, hello, we're on strike. So here's a pin, and they're like, okay, wore the pins, they were forced to take them off. And then they were forced to leave the recording of the show. And so they said, you know what? That sucks. We're going to picket and strike with SAG and WGA. Love that for them. Very cool people. Drew Barrymore made a video, very similar vibe to the Ashton and Mila video. Like, I made a decision. I'm bad. Look, I just want other people you want everyone to have their paychecks. We get it. It sucks. But the only people that can solve this problem is the AMPTP, period. So when that does it, until that happens, don't do it, because you'll just look bad. So she's holding off premiering her show, at least. But man, and there was the vibe of like, well, she changed her mind, guys, everyone calm down. Like, no, she still sucks. Like, that was a sucky thing to do. That was a sucky thing to do. Just stand there and say, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm better. I'm bigger than it. Lame. Anywho, that's it. Everything's so frustrating. I want some good news. I was just informed that Paul Walker may be in the news, is in the news. R.I.P., I guess, but so maybe we'll talk about that next week. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna go and not think about Russell Brand anymore, which I'm glad I don't have to. But unfortunately, there's a lot of women out there who have some of the worst memories of their life because of Russell Brand. So don't forget that, okay? Damn. Whatever happened to fun news? I'm gonna just talk about like puppies and cats from now on. I'm just gonna start playing games. Lily's news, I play Watch Dogs. Okay, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Go out and crush it. Also, it's probably gonna be raining, so be careful. Don't do that. So anywho, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Sorry about the sound doubling. Yikes. And I will see you guys next week at 5 p.m. for some more Lily's news. Okay? We'll see you later. Bye.